So we are going to discuss about what is a distributed system. So you guys may know that distributed system is the basis of what we are going to study, that is system designing. So without understanding what is a distributed system, how things are distributed, how the work is entirely distributed, you can't really understand why we are doing system designing, how we are going to achieve our architecture. So going through the definition, like a distributed system is a system whose components are located on different network computers. So we'll be discussing what a network computer. Network computer is nothing but just the computers in an entire network. Like we are using internet and we have computers at different part of the world, okay, which are acting like servers or acting like end users, or sometimes they are acting like clients as well, and a lot of things. So suppose this is our internet, these are our connections. So all these computers that are connected to this internet are actually network computers, and every computer in the network can uh, send different, can communicate with other computer, can send different messages. I was talking about these messages, passing messages from one computer to another computer. And this is how we are going to study system design. Like we will be discussing how we can create optimized message passing ways. Like optimized means that they will be taking less amount of time, and a lot of other stuff that we are going to discuss, not at this point of time, but we are going to discuss about them. So there are two ways that the distributed system functions. Basically there are two ways, and both of the ways are quite familiar to you if you have studied a little bit of computer science, or if you have, even if you are a little bit aware of technology. So each machine works towards a common goal. Like this works like an engine. So whenever we are using an engine, we actually know about the input, and we actually know our goal, and we actually know the purpose of the engine. We really don't know how this engine functions. We really don't know the inside architecture of this engine. So here what is happening, this distributed system is this engine, and the common goal is actually the output. Every elements of this engine, every gear in this engine, or every type of thing that are inside this engine are working towards a common goal. So I am giving you a real life example of an engine, but these are also engines, but these are software engines. Okay, so how this architecture is done, what type of things that we are going to do, these are all our study topics that we are going to study here. So whatever be the output of that engine, that will be available as a cohesive result. We will not be giving output for each and every components of the engine, but we will be giving a cohesive output. Okay, so that is the first way that the distributed system works. We are giving one input, the distributed system is performing something, it is giving us the output. The output can be data as well, the output can be something else as well. So we'll be discussing about that. So each machine has its own end user, and the distributed system facilitates sharing resources and communication service. Now how resources are shared? Resources means everything that you are putting in the database. Resources can be other things as well, and communication services, like how one device is communicating with another. Like suppose you are sending one WhatsApp message to your friend, so definitely something is communicating with the other for the message passing. Okay, similar to what happens in a post office, or what happens in a courier service. Okay, so we will be discussing about all of these steps. Let's assume one example before that. Suppose this is the client. Client means you. Suppose this is you. You want to access something from this database. Suppose this is database 1, this is database 2, this is database 3. Suppose this is server 1, this is server 2, this is server 3, this is server 4. And suppose this is our message passing technique. Okay, suppose these things are arranged in this way. We are going to study complex things as well. We are going to study it in details as well. But before that, let's understand what is a distributed system. So you are the client. You may be present in India. Okay, this is called as a cluster. Cluster is a combination of all the servers. So we are calling it as a cluster. Suppose this cluster, or we can say this server is, suppose this server is present in US East. This server is present in US West. This server is present in Mumbai. Mumbai is a city in India. And this server is suppose present in Dubai. This entire cluster is formed, and when you are trying to access some servers, you are going to pass with another component that is known as the load balancer. We will be discussing about that. So your request will be given to the load balancer, and load balancer will be choosing which server to consider depending upon different algorithms that the load balancer use, or different parameters that the load balancers use. So we will be discussing about the definition of servers. We will be discussing about how load balancer works, all the algorithms, how this request is sent, who is actually sending this request. You are not sending, your browser is sending, or some other coding other component, other scripts which you are written, they are actually sending. You can create a very simple browser by using Python or JavaScript. Okay, what exactly that is going to do, that is going to request some data from the servers, or that is going to request towards some load balancer that is present in the network. So we'll be discussing about this. So these are suppose our databases, and it has data. Okay, this is not a component. What I am trying to, this is a combination of different components. There are a lot of things inside. So what this actually do, this passes our message. There are few message passing techniques that are available with the, with the distributed system. You must have, if you have studied OS operating systems, you have studied about some message passing techniques. Like they are very important for the workers to work. We need different type of workers, right, to work on our server or work on our distributed system. So those workers can work by using this message passing technique. So we'll be discussing about that. So on a later date, I'm just giving you an example. So what I'm trying to say, like, see, this is suppose in India, suppose these databases are different part. This is suppose in Port Blair. Port Blair is a city in India. Okay. Suppose this is in Africa. That is also possible. And suppose this is in Russia. This is also possible. Suppose this, what exactly happening? These all of these stuffs that you are seeing here, these all are connected through a certain link. That link is something that we call as internet. Okay, so this internet is connecting all of this. Like this India is also connected to the US West. These are also connected to the US East, US West, and this is also connected to Dubai. This is also connected to Mumbai. Everything is connected to everything. So this is actually called as the network components. That's the term you have studied in the definition, formal definition. So these are the network components. Now the thing is, we need to pass message from one component to another such that the component can work further and component can send us back some important things, which includes our data from our database as well. So this server is going to access the data. Okay, before accessing the data, there are two more things are there, like I can say this case server, or I can say more load balancers. They are also present. So why they are necessary, we will be discussing about that, but they are also components. Okay, so this entire thing, this is actually an engine. Okay, and the end goal is to do something like, suppose this client want to send a message to someone who is present here. Okay, suppose one person is present here and the client wants to, you want to send some message. So what you will be doing, you will be choosing one server, and that server will be chosen by the load balancer. So you will be going towards the load balancer. Load balancer is choosing some server, suppose the server 2. The server 2 will be going for the message passing technique, or that message passing technique will be formed to go for the what? To go for the end goal, which is to transfer the message towards the end user. So this message passing is not all about logics. There are certain more things, certain more components. So we will be discussing them in our next classes or in our other videos. Okay, so that is how this distributed system really works and the meaning of the terms. Okay, so distributed system can be viewed as mostly 4 types. There are more types as well, but we will be discussing about mostly 4 types, and these 4 types are actually used in the industry most probably, and mostly like you will be encountering this 3 tier. This is mostly used in web applications. So I will be explaining what is this. Like if something is 3 tier, that means the middle tier, like there are 3 tiers, first, second and third. The first will be used for client, third will be used for the end user or end goal or something like that, or other things is also possible, because this is system designing. A lot of possibilities are there, a lot of options are there. So you can't really clearly say that why this is used, but I can clearly say that this middle layer that we are using, this middle layer used to store the state. What is the state? State means the data of the client or data of the user, those who are using this this distributed system. So this middle layer is going to actually store the state so that the application can work properly. This client server is a direct client server, client server architecture, like GET or POST requests are there. Like the client can actually access some data from the server by requesting it through GET request, and it can actually modify the data by using POST and other update requests. All of these are there. It can delete data as well if that is allowed. Okay, in some servers that is not allowed, but that is all right. In n tiers also there are n number of tiers. Like you see there are 3 tiers. On the middle tier is used for the state management, like n number of tiers, and this n tiers consist of a lot of things. Like suppose one tier is doing the machine learning part, second tier is doing the business part, third tier is suppose that is storing the state part. This is where you are seeing those enterprise level applications nowadays, like GitHub Enterprise is there. A lot of things are there. So these are actually using these n tier servers. Like there is a lot of things that they are doing, and they are doing it quite well. Now the last one is the peer-to-peer. So what happens in the peer-to-peer? Okay, I'm explaining what happens in the peer-to-peer because that is a little bit important, a little bit confusing as well. So you see, what happens in peer-to-peer? There are no additional machines. Okay, like all the responsibility. What is the responsibility? These are the machines. These are the peers. This can work like client and this can work like server as well in peer-to-peer net. I mean in peer-to-peer distributed system, this can work like client, this can work like server as well. So no extra machine, we are not going to use any extra machine to provide service or manage resources. Those responsibility to provide the services and to manage resources, these responsibilities are actually on these peers. So something is working like client at some time, something is working like server at some time. So this peer-to-peer network is a little bit confusing. Sometimes question comes from this peer-to-peer as well. But do not worry about that. We will be discussing about the things, how the architecture is properly maintained, how the things are designed. Okay, and we'll be discussing some basic characteristic of distributed system. That is, I can say that is the ABCD of learning system designing. And system designing is a little bit theoretical, and you can also, we are also going to write codes for the algorithms that we are going to discuss for load balances and all other stuffs. So see you in the next one. That's all for this lecture.